go? What's go? What's go? What's go? What's good? Zay back in the building. Back with another video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Do all that good stuff for me. Let's get it. Let's go. I think they think they're in the Beauty and the Beast. I got the lion mask on. She got on a long. They think they're going to the Met Gala. That's your prom look? Your prom is the Met Gala outfit. Yo, these kids are insane, bro. You're just going to the prom, bro. Like, you're not getting married. You're not going to the Met Gala. You're not going to Fashion Week. You're going to your high school prom. Dressed like boy from Beauty and the Beast.
I saw a tweet the other day that said that prom is 20K and how if this woman would have a kid, it would be up to 100K. So that's a reason why she isn't having kids. And I scrolled by because at the time it had like 32,000 views.
Why do you feel like you got a one up? Like, that's why we fail as a society, bro. Everybody feel like they got to one up somebody. Like, yeah, prom is like 20K now. So now if I have a kid, I'm gonna spend 100K. Like, what? When was prom ever 20K? Like when I went to prom, it wasn't like that. Like, no, I ain't see nobody in prom come overly dressed like that. Like, people just look dressed. It wasn't like people coming in Lambos and all. Like, no, bro. Like, no. Helicopters spending 20K. Like, stop.
This was just supposed to be a one-off. It didn't mean anything. I scrolled back and saw that it had eclipsed 32.8 million views, and I did not know that people were going this hardcore about prom and prom season. Whether it's the dresses, whether it's the theatrics, whether it's literally pulling out bands of money and just holding it around. It seems that prom has become something that I cannot recognize, and I don't know why people are going so far out when we're talking about doing prom. Now, towards the end of the school year, for all the juniors and seniors, and hell, some of the more advanced freshmen and sophomores, they get invited to a prom. You go to Men's Warehouse, you go to Macy's or whatever, you get you a nice little prom dress, prom suit, and then you go to some sort of dance at some old club or maybe even some cafeteria or, event space in your local area. You have a good time, you end it at 9:30, and then some of y'all sneak off back to a hotel room to have fun. Personally, I went home. I can remember my prom days. This is a picture of me going to prom. Yeah, that's me in this.
I thought he was clean. Thought he was OC.
Burgundy suit. I really thought I had it on. And I had my little Kohan 3M dress shoes. And the car that I got to drive was my aunt's 2005 Mustang. I graduated in 2014. So having a 2005 Mustang, listen, that was luxury at that point in time. The most expensive thing on there probably was my tie, or maybe even the shoes. The shoes might have been $100. The tie might have been like $110. But I thought I was really stepping. I thought I was really doing something big. I thought I was really doing something different. But when I see these prom videos across my timeline, I know that I was doing nothing that could compete in 2025.
I promise to make this night special.
I promise to cherish this moment.
Wanna get married? Like, like, what is this, bro? Bro, what is this, bro? What is this, bro?
That's right, ladies and gentlemen, rings. They promise, and they did that by exchanging rings. This is for a prom. This is not for a wedding. This is not for, that's the only time you will really exchange rings like that. This isn't for that. And trust me, it still gets crazier, but off the top, rings are totally out of pocket for a children's prom. What is this? What are we doing?
right, bro. Hey, bro, I see what's going on, bro. I see why Shorty says she gotta spend 100K if she have kids. I understand it. You don't want your kids to get bullied. Like, because if your kid is going to the prom and they're there, you know what I mean? Like, your kid's gonna feel some type of way. You know what I mean? Your kid gonna be like, why I ain't get a Rolls Royce? Why I ain't get a promise ring? Why I ain't get a music video? Why I ain't get a violinist, a celloist? Like, why didn't I get 100 roses?
I think that was them alluding to a Rolls Royce and a Ferrari. Now, not only to me are the rings out of pocket, the dress in and of itself is out of pocket. I think that there should be some sort of, level of, I don't know, conservatism with the kids' dresses. That's just me. But also the level of detail, the level of money. Look, I think that there's no problem with having special moments. But once you get to the part where you're starting to rent out these uber luxury cars in order to make some sort of grand entrance for your prom, you're spending thousands upon tens of thousands, tens of thousands of dollars in order to do that. I don't think that there's a problem with renting one car, but why do you need to rent two cars for your prom? You see, they only pull up in one car. Like, it's stupid to have two cars.
Yo, they didn't even come in the Rolls. Oh my God. So you had the Rolls just sitting there, but you pull up in a Porsche? You had the Rolls just sitting there. You had the Rolls. That mean he don't know how to drive the Rolls. He don't know how to drive. He don't know how to drive. Why you care about the Porsche? What's the Rolls there for, bro? What's that? Would you actually somebody down the street? Can you borrow their Rolls for a picture? Like, you couldn't even pull up in an all white Rolls Royce, brother. Come on, gang. It's tough.
A man on a cello and what seems to be a choir right behind them. Now, I did do my research on the high school that they came from, which is Western High School coming out of South Florida area. And I will say specifically for them, the median income for each household over there is over $130,000. So they may.
Okay, that makes sense. See, now that makes sense now. That makes sense now. They got the money to do that, bro. So is the tax bracket. It's always a bracket for everybody.
Have some money to blow. But this seems to be a little bit over the top, even if you had the money to spend, I think some people would have money to spend on an extravagant prom, but why is it that people are going down this path of going so over the top when it comes to, prom or these celebrations for high school students specifically?
High school prom getting out of control. Have y'all seen the high school proms? You cannot go to high school prom now without a budget. Last year, this kid's mom asked me to film his high school prom, right? He pulled up in a Rolls Royce, had a red carpet, and had a driver. Now looking back on it, that was light. That was his junior year. His mom said his senior year, they're trying to get an approval so the helicopter could land at the school. I seen somebody on a moving bus in a box. I seen a girl dressed with all the $100 bills made out of it. Some girl said her dad flew to Nigeria to get the dress made because hers ain't coming time. Bro, what the this is what I wore to my prom.
Facts.
I thought it was clean.
Now, if we go down the rabbit hole, I think there's a lot of places and spaces that don't make sense for these people to be doing these extravagant ass things for these proms. In the original tweet, the woman said somebody's prom was $20K. Where is all this going to? This is one night. That's like wedding reception level stuff. And all these things are egregious.
Man, 20K on a prom that's wild, gang. I've never heard that a day in my life. 20K on a prom?
Taxed. I don't know if you've ever seen these things on TikTok, but people put extra taxes on things when it comes to doing like weddings or certain celebrations. But your prom being that, I don't know how. If we think about a hotel, if we're thinking about the ticket itself, if we're thinking about a suit or whatever the case may be, none of these things should tally up to be $20,000. $20,000 is somebody's like part-time salary. $20,000 is a year in college for some people. $20,000 is a lot of money. And I don't even think that people have this on their brain. Right. And I know that people can't really afford these things. If you look at the median income of a lot of households across the US, I don't see where they're penciling in $20,000 or whatever outrageous amount of money that they're spending on these specific proms. And it's sad because I don't like to add these sorts of talking points to my videos, but this is definitely a black thing. I'm not seeing a lot of people,
We got to go over the top. You know how it is, brother.
other than black people participating in proms that's extravagant. Now, if we go down to level 2, it's the adultification and role play that people love to have with their kids. We've seen pictures and video before of people taking little toddlers and putting them in adult clothes, calling it BBL fashion or whatever the case may be. So not only are they adultifying their kids, dressing them up in these different clothings, I've seen people do preschool proms, daycare proms, like toddlers or people that just aren't in high school doing proms, really young people. So it makes sense that by the time that you get to actual prom age, we will have aged it up so much that it's a fucking wedding at this point.
Please, you guys are taking this prom stuff too serious. Don't get me wrong, prom season is one of my favorite seasons after graduation. But baby, telling each other vows on prom night and promising stuff, like, you have to be serious. Like, this is not y'all wedding, literally. Like, y'all are promising this and that and making it seem like it's a wedding. Like, this is not a wedding. Vows and exchanging rings on prom is just crazy. Like, mind you, these kids are probably 17, 18 years old. Like, the drones even, and I think that this was all in a hotel room. Like, where are the parents at? Because this is all the parents' fault for allowing this, if you ask me.
Now, I want to be able to introduce two perspectives. I grew up with an older mother, so she's definitely of the same perspective of this young lady, and part of me definitely agrees with this situation too, that, yeah, is probably going to be the moment that they have for the rest of their lives. There's never going to be another opportunity in which people are able to put on tuxedos or gowns or, go to some sort of formal event. And if you really think about it, that's probably most Americans. This is why it's very important for you to live your life and not adultify yourself too fast, because you won't be able to experience these things again for the rest of your life. Think about the last time you've been on a field trip or had a summer break or, read a book even. A lot of Americans post high school do not experience that ever again. So it's kind of important. And that can be both good and both sad. Now, should that mean that you go out of your way to cosplay weddings? No, I think that that's like a very sacred moment, and I don't think that it is the appropriate thing to do. That's weird, that's wild, all that stuff. But we've seen in recent times where people are not living, it seems like, on a massive scale past a certain age. So the adults having the opportunity to have them live these moments, going to prom or having this big celebration or bash or whatever, it seems very important. That's why these people have huge celebrations for graduation, not because they think they won't ever graduate again, which a lot of people won't, but also because they never thought they would make it, or they might have people in their lives that did not make it to that point in and of itself. So a high school graduation can be just as big as a college graduation. Do I think that should come at the expense of a down payment on a house? Absolutely not. But there was something interesting that I saw from Twitter creator Phil Lewis that talked about, there are no places for teenagers to just be teenagers. I think that there's a lot of real issues that play, into that are going on here. Listen, there aren't any malls. They're closing down parks left, right, and sideways. There's no television shows. Kids are now being aged up every single day. There's no more Radio Disney that I grew up on. There's no more Claire's. There's no more kid-like spaces. It seems like you're a toddler and then you jump into adultified. Hell, even when my cousins were talking about getting designer shoes, it started off.
He ain't lying, man. Like, all the stuff that, because he's not too far off of my age. So, like, all the stuff that we kind of grew up on is gone. Like, it's gone. Like, everything that was like kitty and stuff is kind of gone. I mean, they still got some shows, on I think Disney and stuff, like Disney Plus or something. Like, there's still some, kitty shows and stuff. You just gotta actually look for them. Like, it's not like promoted how it was back in the day. Like, you could just go on TV and find a show to watch, But now, you got all the streaming platforms, so you gotta be subscribed to stuff, and you gotta have money. Like, so, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, man.
off being in 8th grade. And that's not a conversation I started to have until hell out of high school, late high school, whatever the case may be. One, when I got my own money, but two, when I started to mature in there. What happened to the era of Skechers or I don't know, K-Swiss? Where's the in-between shoes? Where's the in-between clothes? Where are the places and spaces for young teens, preteens, teenagers? Where are all those things? Why are we taking these jumps like this? Last but not least, social media has gotten everybody up in arms. And when that happens, you gotta get the content out of it. You gotta one-up yourself. You gotta top that viral moment with another viral moment. One of the biggest issues that comes with this prom season is that somebody saw somebody last year do it, so now I gotta go bigger and I gotta go harder. But that's social media for you. Every time somebody does something, they feel as if they have to top it 1 year after the next year. At some point, I feel like we are gonna reach the top, but I'm saying the same thing with like IRL streaming and content creation in general. Every time somebody reaches a new point, I say to myself, this has to be the top until we reach the next top.
Yeah, that's always gonna happen. There's always gonna be somebody better than somebody, bro. It's always gonna be somebody trying to outdo somebody. That's just the way of life. That's just the way of life, brother.
Overall, this situation can be summed up by a term called arrested development. It's when somebody's development, whether it be emotionally or mentally or whatever, is arrested. It's locked up in a certain stage or state, and that state being a 17-year-old. These are the people who peaked in high school. You know, their parents peaked in high school, so now they're putting it onto their kids to live out these dreams and fantasies because ultimately, this is potentially the biggest moment they will ever have. This almost seems like if you gave a kid $100,000, what would they do? Give a kid $10 and let them go into the grocery store and see what they buy. They're not gonna buy anything productive like bread or milk. They're gonna buy candy bars. This is just the adult version of that exact same thing. This is the extension of the mom who is living through their child by, you know, putting them on the dance team or the cheer squad. The dad who is living through their child because they have hoop dreams that were never satisfied, you know, when they were in high school because they were 5, 6. This is that same exact extension. And of course, the child isn't going to say anything. They're going along with it. They want to have fun, and this seems like the thing to do. But somebody's got to be the parents.
Nah, that's facts, man. Somebody gotta be the ones to, you know, stop it. They gotta be the ones to stop it and you know, be like, look, I'm not spending $20,000. That's a lot of money on a prom. Exchanging promise rings at prom before prom. Like, you're bugging. But like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff, man.